of fairies and princesses? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast. I'm Jeff DePaoli.
And I'm Patrick Dougal.
And today we have a Muppet-filled episode for you, since Muppets Most Wanted recently came out. But before we go there, Patrick, is there any news that you want to talk about before we head to the Muppets?
I totally had something. I do. My Pass Holder Magic Band came in, finally.
Ta-da!
So now I have 4 of them. It's like Pokemon, I have to collect them all.
Nice. And you've got at least half of them at this point, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Did you hear that Maleficent has wings, Patrick?
I did.
How do we feel about this?
I don't know, and apparently she loses them. That's why she's all mad and stuff.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, I am so scared for this movie. I can't even...
Me too. I think the biggest thing that scares me is the first time I saw the PG rating at the end of it.
Oh, is it PG?
It's PG.
Which I guess makes sense. It's Disney, but that's crazy at the same time.
Yeah, but like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that, that was all PG-13.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So it scares me that I want it to be like really dark, and I don't think it's gonna be.
I think I'm gonna love 50% of the movie and hate 50% of the movie.
But also, they recently just announced that it will be coming out in IMAX.
Nice. Is it gonna be 3D?
It's gonna be an IMAX.
Okay, good. Also, some other news: Incredibles and Cars definitely getting sequels.
One of them I'm excited for.
I'm gonna guess you're thinking Incredibles.
Yes. You know, I honestly haven't even seen Cars 2.
I saw it because I was at the drive-in and it was like the second feature. Actually, you know what it was? I think I saw Pirates 4 followed by Cars 2. And I was just like, wah, wah, all around. So, but yeah, The Incredibles, I've got to check out the original again because people love that one. And I
love The Incredibles.
A lot of people do. So I got to check it out again. And I don't know. See if my opinions have changed. Also, Shanghai Disneyland. Did you hear what they're getting? They're getting...
Is it the Pirates land?
Yeah, they're getting an entire land dedicated to pirates, which I think is pretty cool. So, it's pretty fun. Anyway, do you have any other news? Because otherwise we should jump into the Muppets. We have so much to talk about.
Let's do it.
Okay, Muppets Most Wanted. This is... now, their second movie since they have come back into the limelight, I guess. And, what'd you think, Patrick?
I thought it was good. I still like the first one better, or the first revival with Jason Segel. But, I think this was, like, up to par with it.
You know, I actually enjoyed it more than I guess we'll call it the first one, even though it's like, what, the 7th one or 6th one, technically, but...
This was like the first revival.
The first revival. Yeah, to me, the first revival was interesting because it felt like they had to reintroduce these characters to people, or even introduce them to younger people. So I just felt like there was such an agenda with the first movie, and so, I don't know, that affected how I liked it. I mean, although the first movie had one of the best cameos in all Muppets movies of all time. Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory. When he showed up on screen, oh my lordy, was I laughing so hard. So good. But
I just think the songs from the first one stayed with me more than the songs from this one as well. Definitely
agree. I definitely think that the music in the first one was better. I'm not sure whether or not... I think it was the same composer, but I'm not 100% on that. I also, when I saw the first one, though, I kind of was angry from the very start of the film because I don't know if you remember this, but at least for me, it was the first time that I saw, you know, at the beginning of the movie, they show the castle and it says Walt Disney Pictures. Well, it was the first time that it didn't say Walt. It said Disney. Just Disney. And I literally was in the theater and went, what? Like, I freaked out. Now my friends were like, what are you upset about? And I'm like, where is Walt's first name? So I think that kind of put like a damper on the whole film for me. But I really liked the sequel. The the problem that I have with these Muppet movies now is obviously there's tons of nostalgia when it comes to the Muppets. And I love the nostalgic stuff. I love, bringing back, some of the music's like Together Again, Together Again. It was fun stuff. And I love that. And like the show opening of the Muppet Show is so classic. You want to see that. But I also feel like they kind of rip themselves off a lot. Like, to me, this felt very great Muppet Caper.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, especially, really, really... Actually, the biggest problem that I had with the first one was... I don't know if you've ever seen it, but have you ever seen It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie?
Yeah.
It's the same exact storyline.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? It's the same exact storyline. The difference is, like, the bad guy's female, and It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie trying to take over the theater. So I was just never able to get over that fact. I'm like, this story's been told. Like, I appreciate it, but it's been told before. So that's the problem that I had with it. But overall, the Kermit and Piggy babies in Muppets Most Wanted. How cute were those?
You got a green pig and a pink frog.
If they had sold those as if they'd sold those as stuffed animals, I totally would have gotten them.
One thing we skipped, though, we totally missed, is the Pixar short in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, the Monsters University. I had actually seen... It was funny because I was, like, looking forward to that. And I was like, I think I've seen a piece of this before at the expo. But I actually saw the entire thing. I was like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before.
Oh, I didn't see anything. I didn't even know there was going to be a short in front of it.
Oh, really?
And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was a good little short. I actually think I like that short more than I like Monsters University. But
it was really funny.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was super cool in the Muppets was actually during the credits, the fireworks that they had, like the CG fireworks. I was like, okay, those need to start happening at Disneyland. Like, how amazing would those be? Those were like the coolest thing ever. I loved it. Loved it. One of the cool things about LA is some of our cool theater venues. And at the El Capitan, which is the theater that Disney owns, they're showing the Muppets, obviously. And one of the cool things that they do is Kermit and Piggy sing before the movie. Like, they're on stage. And it's like, have you ever seen Kermit and Piggy live or any of the Muppets live?
No.
It's incredible. Like, crazy incredible. Like, I can't even explain it. It's like they're so famous. Like, people freak out when they see them. And the weird thing was they appeared at the first two Disney Expos and they didn't at the third, which was shocking to me simply because they had Muppets Most Wanted coming out. But I'm telling you, the energy in the room when all the Muppets came out, like in the first Expo, they had basically like a replica of the Mark Twain riverboat come out on stage. And it was basically like the end of Fantasmic where all the characters come out, but they had all the Muppets in there. It was so cool. And like the room was just freaking out, which leads me to, and I'm being completely serious when I say this, I think Disney Theatricals should put the Muppets on Broadway. Like, come on. No. What are you questioning here?
Nothing. It's an idea.
It's a brilliant... If the script were brilliant, if the book were brilliant, I'm telling you, people would freak out to see them. They're like A-list celebrities. I mean, first of all, let's just talk about the cameos that they get in those movies. They get huge names. Everybody wants to work with the Muppets. Like, it's crazy. Everybody wants to work with the Muppets. Put them on stage. I'm sorry, like, you can say, well, that the size would be an issue. Nope. Avenue Q works on Broadway beautifully, or it worked on Broadway beautifully. Puppets work on Broadway. I'm telling you, if the Muppets went on Broadway, it would be the coolest thing ever. And even if it was only like a limited 6-month run, I'm telling you, it would break records. I'm being really serious. Disney Theatricals, do something with that.
Do it.
They totally should. And I have had the insane pleasure of actually seeing, when they were shooting the first Muppet movie here in LA, I actually saw them performing and had that weird moment of, Kermit performing, and then between takes, Steve Whitmire just hanging out with Kermit on his arm. And I was like, it was one of the most surreal moments of my life. And I remember walking out of the soundstage, and literally they just had all these trunks open, and just hanging there were Miss Piggy and Gonzo and Fozzie. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is freaking me out. It was pretty incredible. So if you get a chance to see it at the El Capitan and see the Muppets live.
Yes, I'll make my way out there right now.
Do it. I actually didn't even see it there. I saw it at the Walt Disney Studios, because if you get invited to the Walt Disney Studios, you say yes.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to say specifically about the movie before we move on to some Muppet theme park stuff?
Lot of cameos. I laughed at a good amount of parts. The Celine Dion song made me just laugh the whole time.
Yeah. I love it when big names are willing to poke fun at themselves, and people tend to do that for the Muppets. And I loved the chorus line number that they did with the prisoners.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh my God, I was laughing my butt off. It was really, really funny. Oh, love it. But now on to some stuff people may not know so much about. But obviously, back in the day, we're talking like the 90s here, early 90s, Muppet Vision 3D came out. And at the time, there was a lot of talk about, Disney was going to buy the Muppets. This was during the Michael Eisner era. And the deal fell through, but there were a lot of plans that people probably don't know about for them. Do you want to talk about some of the Walt Disney World stuff that they had in the works?
Yeah, for MGM, well, past Star Tours, you have the whole, like, New York area, and then the kind of the center focus right when you turn that corner is Muppet Vision with that giant balloon and the Miss Piggy fountain. But then, like, to the left and stuff, you have, like, Mama Melrose and Pizza Planet and the Christmas store, and they kind of didn't go with anything that was, like, just there, but supposedly all that was supposed to be Muppet themed. Like, we were supposed to have a Muppets restaurant. There was supposed to be more a Muppet almost great movie ride where the Muppets were supposed to be in like classic Disney films, but like as like, I don't know, Gonzo as Peter Pan or something. So there was all these plans for MGM, but due to the death of Jim Henson and the acquiring the rights after his death, it just, a lot of them fell through. And there were some pretty cool, I think the restaurant idea was super cool because you had like, I think they had it like Pizza Pandemonium was the name of it, and you had the Swedish chef coming, like popping out of the kitchen, and they were supposed to like deliver your food on like a train track, and like Gonzo was supposed to be like in the air ducts. It just seemed like a really cool idea, and it's sad that like most of it fell through.
Yeah, the thing that got me most excited when I read about this was the Muppet movie ride. I think that would, first of all, I think it would have been so much fun for like Disney to kind of be poking fun at themselves. Like, since the Great Movie Ride is such an iconic attraction at the Hollywood studios, it would have been kind of cool to have like a miniature version of that. I would have loved to have seen the Muppet movie ride. I honestly wish they would still do it. I don't think it's too late. I think that the Muppets are having a resurgence, and I say go through with it and completely retheme that. Yeah, so apparently what happened was Jim Henson really wanted to sell the Muppets to the Walt Disney Company, and when he passed away, the deal hadn't gone through. And the what I've read, and I don't know how true this is, but apparently the Jim Henson family felt pressure from the Walt Disney Company to sell them. And I guess maybe spitefully they were like, well, you know what? You know, you're not going to bully us into doing this. And so they never did. And so actually Muppet Vision 3D was supposed to be a limited run. And they did have a live stage show there, with the Muppets. But this going back to like the Broadway thing I was talking about, this kind of weirded me out because they weren't like the puppets on stage. They were full costume people, which is just weird to me. Like, one of the things that I love about the idea of meeting Kermit the Frog is the fact that Kermit's like the same everywhere you go. Whereas when you meet Mickey Mouse, you know, you see him as a pencil drawing in some cases, or a CG character in some cases, or like, you know, a costume character. And like the continuity, and you know, maybe in continuity, it's just, there's no way of making it seamless when it comes to Mickey. But in the case of Kermit the Frog, you can totally do that. And that was one of the issues that I had with the stage show that they had there. But interestingly enough, and we're talking back in 1990, 91, something like that, with this stage show, the characters had moving mouths. The full costume characters had moving mouths back then. So I don't know when all that's probably my first memory of those. And we think of it today kind of as new technology. But I don't know. Do you know how far back all that stuff goes?
No, I was not born.
I know. When's the first time you remember a moving mouth on the characters, though? Because I think of that as like more modern. But then I'm like, no, it was all the way back then.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if they had the Ninja Turtle show there as well.
They did that. They did not have moving mouths.
They did not.
No.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of crazy. But it was they did have a live stage show, which, of course, that contractually had to end. Muppet Vision kept going, of course. But the deal did finally go through in 2004 with Bob Iger. They did buy the Muppets. And to be honest, I mean, you know how I feel about Disney buying up properties that they haven't created. I'm not crazy about it, but I feel like the Muppets is the most fitting of anything they've ever bought. It just makes sense. It's those family characters. But I do have one major issue with it that I feel like was like a bad contract decision. And that's the fact that Disney now owns Kermit, which means the Jim Henson Company cannot use Kermit, which I understand. But the bigger problem that I have is now the Jim Henson Company, whenever they release anything, some of their older projects, they have to cut Kermit and the other characters out of everything. So the Jim Henson Company has like Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas and all these classic Jim Henson productions that Kermit often introduced or he was the narrator for. When they sell these things now, they have to re-edit them and cut Kermit out. And that bothers me to no end as a Muppet purist. It really bothers me. In fact, I ended up buying the DVDs because I want the copy. But then I ended up having to get like a bootleg of some sort of like the original that was on TV just so that I can have like a complete version of it. So I don't know what the heck they were thinking when they made that deal. But the fact that they can't keep him in the original sources drives me crazy. Just crazy. So, out of the MGM stuff, you wanted to see the restaurant come to life more than...
Yeah, I thought the restaurant would be really cool.
Yep.
But, they're thinking in my mind how Disney thinks, while I would like this expansion to happen, I don't think it will ever come to fruition.
Now, why not? See, I think it makes total sense.
Just due to the fact that they now own Star Wars, and that is the big plan.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah, I've read a lot about the Star Wars expansions here, and it's obvious it's going to take over Tomorrowland, is what it sounds like. But are they talking similarly for the Hollywood studios?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, as much as like we might like Muppets, I don't think it can compare to the fan base of Star Wars.
No, Star Wars is huge. But one of the Star Wars things that's driving me nuts is kind of like when Harry Potter was first announced for Universal. They made it sound like they were going to have like a whole separate theme park. Like it was going to be its own theme park. And now the more I hear, it just sounds like it's going to be a land in the theme park. And once again, it's going to be a re-themed land as opposed to an even brand new land. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And this is assuming the next movie doesn't flop. If that movie flops, they're in a lot of trouble.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, even if it flops, it's going to make tons of money, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
But
they just announced for the first time for Star Wars weekends this year that they are actually starting Star Wars character dining.
Oh, I read about that.
Yeah, where you can eat breakfast with Darth Vader and Boba Fett, and then at dinner time you can do it with like the Disney version Star Wars, like Jedi Mickey and Princess Leia Minnie.
Oh, see, that would be a lot of fun.
That's already blowing up at the park. So.
And you guys are getting Mark Hamill as well.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill's coming.
Pretty cool stuff.
Anywho. So we spoke about what the Muppets were going to do at Walt Disney World, but holy moly, did they have plans for Disneyland?
Oh my god.
This excites me beyond belief. Back after Disneyland's 35th anniversary, so that would have been 1990, they had this whole story going on where Mickey and the gang were exhausted from celebrating their 35th anniversary. And so they were going on vacation. And who was going to take over but the Muppets? And Disneyland was going to become Muppet Land for one full year. And they were going to do crazy stuff like the Mickey floral at the entrance to the park was going to go away and it was going to be turned into Kermit. They were going to paint the entire Matterhorn green, Kermit green. So, excuse me, so that you could see it from the freeway. And, they were gonna stick Miss Piggy in It's a Small World. They were gonna put Animal in Pirates of the Caribbean and have him chasing the women. And it was like this crazy marketing campaign that they were gonna do. And I'm sorry, but there's part of me that really wants to see that happen. I think it would be amazing.
I think to have Mickey and all his pals leave leave Disneyland for
insane.
a year, that's kind of insane. But yeah, I would have been so cool to see that. And they actually they were starting to already change things mid process before Jim Henson died. So they were really into it.
Yeah, from what I heard, they were actually in the Opera House where Lincoln was, and they were turning that into Muppet Vision 3D. And they were in there taking measurements, getting ready for the move, and they got the call. The project's pulled. The deal didn't go through. So, they had some of these things. I believe the restaurant that you were speaking of in Florida, had full models already built and everything. And, that's just, to me, the fact that these models and blueprints and plans are sitting around and nothing's getting done with them, I'm just like, please do something. This would be so awesome. I would love to see it. As far as Mickey taking a vacation for a year, first of all, I think a year is too long. I think it should have been a summer thing, June through September or whatever. I think that would have made more sense. Obviously, the type of things they were trying to do, like paint the entire Matterhorn green, is a time-consuming and expensive process. So I'm sure they were like, well, we would have to do it for a year in order for it to make sense. Although these days they could just light it green at night. That would work. But, and as far as Mickey, yes, Disneyland cannot exist without Mickey in the park. So I don't know how they would deal with that. The only way it could kind of work, even though I don't necessarily think this should happen, the fact that we have California Adventure so close by, although in 1990, of course, we didn't. But, since it's so close by now, I mean, you're still could be, I mean, the story could be they're vacationing at DCA, and it could work that way. But I don't know, a Muppet takeover of Disneyland is kind of incredible to think about.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it gets my brain going crazy. And a whole Muppet parade would be awesome, and a Muppet fireworks show. Oh, lordy. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, Disney! Maybe the third movie will be a huge, giant success, and it will happen.
Yeah, we'll see. These were the plans back in 1990.
It doesn't matter. Things, they dust stuff off at Imagineering all the time. Did you ever you said you'd never seen Kermit or Piggy live, but did you never have them in a parade at Walt Disney World?
Not that I remember or know of.
Did you guys have that one year out here? Oh lordy, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was, Give a Day, Get a Disney Day. You didn't have anything like that?
Like the volunteer thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that.
Okay, so we had that out here. This was, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago at this point. But it was basically you volunteer somewhere for a day and they gave you a free ticket to Disney for the day. And the whole campaign was promoted by the Muppets. And because of that, we actually had a Muppet float before our parade that came out, and Kermit and Piggy were on that. And, but you guys didn't do that, huh?
I don't remember if it was sponsored by anything or who promoted it or whatever.
No, it was definitely the Muppets for you guys as well, because I remember the ads with the Cinderella Castle in it, but I guess you didn't have a float, maybe. Maybe they stuck them in one of those snow globes in your old parade.
Perhaps.
That's what's happened. Cool. So yes, I am excited about the new Muppet movie. I'm glad I enjoyed it. Fun experience. Love reading about the Disney stuff in the parks. I say bring more of it. And yeah, anything else before we move on to some trivia?
Nope. Good movie. I liked it. Yay, Muppets.
Do you have a trivia question for me?
I do, and you should be able to get this if you're a Muppets fan, because it's a Muppet trivia question.
I got a Muppet trivia question as well.
Oh my
Wouldn't that be
God.
funny if we have the same exact question?
Okay, probably. Well, this little guy made his appearance in Muppets Most Wanted, and he's also Kermit's nephew. Do you know his name?
Yeah, Robin.
Yeah.
I love Robin. He was voiced by, oh goodness, I'm going to forget his name. Was it Jerry Nelson, I believe? Who passed away recently, and he's actually also created one of my absolute favorite Muppet characters, which is Emmett Otter from Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. Have you ever seen Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
No.
Have you even heard of it?
No.
I think it was made in the 70s. I don't know. It was before I was born, but I grew up watching this Christmas special on television. I'm telling you, it is my absolute favorite thing that the Jim Henson Company ever made. It's incredible. You need to check out Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And they actually, a few years ago, I saw a stage production of it, which was like so crazy good and nostalgic. It was at the Goodspeed Opera House in Connecticut. Good times. Oh, Robin.
Did you see him? He's like in there for like...
Oh, Robin, yeah, he was there for 2 seconds.
like one line.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, and we brought in Walter, who I like to think was named after Walt Disney, but probably wasn't. And they're like, we brought in Walter, who kind of got rid of our other minor characters, like Robin and Rizzo the Rat.
Yeah.
Sad. Wah, wah. Okay, I got a question for you. Are you ready?
Nope.
Okay, well, here we go anyway. Do you know what the first Kermit puppet was made out of? What materials were used to make Kermit?
Okay, first of all, was Kermit green in the beginning? Like, was he always green?
I believe he was always green, but but it was black and white television in the beginning.
Okay.
Because he made his premiere on a show called Sam and Friends.
Maybe I'm always mixing him and Oscar up, because Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street used to be orange originally.
I think he still may have been like in some of the foreign versions of Sesame Street, but he was orange in America originally.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. You know who's interesting to listen to the original character of is Elmo, because he sounded nothing like Elmo.
Oh yeah, he was scary.
Yeah,
real scary.
Yeah, it was weird.
Okay. Anyway, back materials of Kermit,
The materials of Kermit.
like felt.
No, it wasn't felt. He was originally made out of his Jim Henson's mother's old coat. So he was made out of a coat, and his eyes were ping pong balls. And for a long time, Kermit wasn't a frog. He was just a lizard. And it wasn't officially until The Frog Prince, which I don't know the year of, it was the 70s, that they officially called him Kermit the Frog. Although there are stories out there that he was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and Johnny called him a frog before that. But yeah, so he's made out of his mother's coat. So start looking around your house, find some old...
I feel like that's like every, because I know, what's his name? Oh, this is going to be terrible because I'm blinking.
Oh, Elmo?
Kevin Nash or whatever.
Kevin Clash.
Kevin Clash, sorry. And I know he made his out of his first puppets out of his family's coats.
Yeah, that's what you do, right?
You just cut up coats and make puppets out of them. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Jim
That's
Henson,
the
I
best
guess
way to do it.
we should mention, this isn't particularly Disney, but it is Jim Henson, that the show, the Jim Henson what's it called? Creature Workshop Challenge? Or Creature Shop Challenge premiered on Sci-Fi. It was pretty good. I think that does it, Patrick, for our Muppet edition of Disney Coast to Coast.
Yep.
Yay, so we'll see you next time. Bye.
It's time to... Okay, we're done.
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.